Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I haven't posted a video in about a week now. Sorry, I haven't posted in a while. I just didn't feel like it lately. So today I'm reacting to Candy Man Draw My Life. I've done 3 videos on this so far. Let's get this video started.
Welcome to a new Draw My Life video. Dean Arnold Coral, also known as Candyman, was a serial killer from the US who, along with 2 accomplices, kidnapped, tortured, and killed at least 28 young people between 1970 and 1973 in Houston, Texas.
So far.
He was born on December 24th, 1939 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, US. He was the first son of Mary Robinson and Arnold Edwin Coral. His mom was very protective, but not his dad, strict and tough with his 2 kids. He usually grounded them. Coral was a very shy boy who had a rough time interacting with others, though he always cared about the well-being of other people. His parents argued more and more frequently, so they ended up getting a divorce when he was 7. After this, his mom sold the family house, and after moving several times, they settled in Vidor, a small town in the west of Texas. His mom married again, and with her new husband, she started a candy company in their garage. Dean was really involved in the family business since day one, and he worked day and night after he got out of school every day. There, he was seen as a well-behaved and generous student who used to give candy to his friends. The family business kept growing and growing, so after Dean's graduation, the family decided to move again. The place they chose was Houston Heights, a low-income neighborhood in the city of Houston, where they opened a small store. During his teenage years, Dean never showed any kind of weird behavior. In fact, neighbors would say he was a model boy, kind, who gave candy to the kids in the neighborhood. However, it all changed in August 1964, when he was drafted into the U.S. Army. He soon showed his disdain for the service, and after 10 months, he asked for a leave of absence, with the excuse of taking care of the family business. He would be later on named the vice president of the business. When he went back to Houston, he restarted his work in the company, and he moved to an apartment right above the store. It was then that his personality changed drastically. He became irascible and gloomy. With the excuse of the candy, Coral started to spend more and more time with teenagers. In 1967, he became friends with David Brooks, who was 12 years old, one of the kids he gave candy to. The family nucleus of this young boy was totally unstructured, and Coral's attention soon made the kid look up to him as a father figure. Dean's dark instincts sparked in September 1970. Jeffrey Conan, an 18-year-old boy who hitchhiked on the road, became his first victim. Coral picked him up and took him home. On their way there, he gave him some candy, and once they were home, he hit him on the head, leaving him unconscious. After this, he tied him to a chair and tortured him for hours until he finally ended his agony by hitting his head until it was destroyed. Dean was surprised by Brooks in the middle of the slaughter.
That poor little boy. Why did he deserve that? No reason, that's why.
Managed to blackmail him and keep him silent about it, offering him in exchange a car, a Chevrolet Corvette. The influence of the killer upon the kid was such that he even made a deal with him. He'd give him $200 for each kid he'd bring him. Brooks accepted, becoming automatically his accomplice. His mom's marriage failed again, and the family closed down the candy company. So Coral started on a job as an electrician. His mother moved again to Colorado this time, and even though they talked on the phone regularly, she never came back to visit her son. In 1971, David Brooks introduced Elmer Henley to Dean Coral. He also came from a humble family with financial problems. Dean decided he could be a good accomplice, and he offered him again $200 for each kid he would bring to his apartment. Henley's family was so poor that he accepted the offer without really knowing about Dean's intentions yet. Dean carried out most of his murders during the following 2 years. All his victims were teenagers, younger than 20 years old, who lived in the outskirts of Houston Heights. His modus operandi consisted in attracting his victims to his apartment with the help of his accomplices. After that, he would offer them drugs and then he would strangle them or shoot them, though torturing them first. Coral became more and more cruel. He'd cut their bodies, he would break their bones with hammer, or he'd choke them with plastic bags.
This guy's crazy, like literally insane.
Lengthening the agony of his victims for hours. Once they were killed, he bathed them in lime and covered them with layers of plastic. He'd tie the ends and wrap his victims as if they were a piece of candy, and then finally he would bury them. However, everything went wrong for him in August 8th, 1973. Henley had taken a boy to Coral's house, but he had also invited Rhonda Williams, a friend of his. She was 15 years old. Coral got furious with Henley for taking a girl inside his house, but he managed to calm him down. The two teenagers kept drinking and taking drugs until they fell unconscious. When they woke up, they found themselves gagged and with their hands tied. Coral threatened Henley, putting a gun on his temple, but the young boy calmed him down again, promising he would participate in the torturing of the other two, so he set him free. Dean offered him a hunting knife and asked him to cut off Rhonda's clothes while he tortured the other boy. But he refused to do so, and tired of these slaughters, he grabbed Coral's gun and threatened him. They both struggled, and finally he shot his head, but the bullet didn't make it all the way through the cranium. He shot other 5 times until the killer collapsed and bled to death. It was Henley himself that called the police and confessed not only Dean Coral's murder, but also his and David Brooks' participation in the torture and death of more than 20 teenagers. They collaborated with the justice by pointing out the location of several bodies, and they both were sentenced to imprisonment for life. And this was how Dean Coral went down in history as one of the most heartless serial killers of all the ones we know. And also, now our parents' warning finally makes sense. The one that says, "Don't take candy from a stranger."
Okay, guys, that's the end of the video. Sorry. Like, subscribe, comment below. Make sure you go check out my cousin's channel. Dan Howard. He does storyline videos. And bye.